People wake up every day hoping life will hand them a miracle, but miracles don't belong to people who wait. They belong to people who move, who bleed, who commit, who build their future piece by piece even when nobody is watching. The truth is simple. No one is coming to save you, no one is coming to hand you the life you want, and no one is responsible for your dreams except you. The world rewards action, not potential. Everyone has potential, almost nobody converts it into reality. And that gap between potential and reality, that's where regret lives. Most people underestimate how much time they still have and overestimate how much time they've already wasted. They convince themselves they're too late, too old, too far behind, as if life has a scoreboard that disqualifies them. The reality is that you can begin now, at any moment, and rewrite everything. But beginning requires humility. You have to accept that you start as a beginner, that your first attempts will be messy, awkward, inconsistent. That's what people avoid, the embarrassment of starting small. They would rather dream about greatness than taste the discomfort that greatness demands. Every transformation begins in silence. Before the world recognizes you, before anyone claps for you. There is a long season where you work alone, sharpen your skills, build your resilience, and fight your doubts. It's in that quiet space that people either quit or evolve. The ones who quit tell stories about why it didn't work. The ones who evolve keep moving until there's no story left to tell, only results. People love to say they're motivated, but motivation is fragile. Motivation depends on mood, weather, approval, and convenience. Discipline is the opposite. Discipline is the promise you make to yourself that you refuse to break. Discipline doesn't care if you're tired, if you're annoyed, if you're scared. Discipline is consistency without permission. And the funny thing is that once discipline becomes your baseline, progress becomes automatic. It stops feeling heroic and starts feeling normal. And that's when life changes, not in a dramatic explosion of motivation, but in quiet, repeated acts of commitment. There's a myth that successful people are special. They're not. They simply tolerate discomfort longer than others. They keep showing up when others stop. They push through boredom, confusion, failure, and criticism. Most people can handle a little suffering, but very few can handle it long enough to be rewarded by life. Success is less about brilliance and more about endurance. You don't need to be gifted. You need to be relentless. If you look at anyone who built a life others respect, you'll see a common theme. There was a time when they were invisible. Nobody cared. Nobody praised. Nobody supported. That phase breaks the majority of people. But if you treat invisibility as preparation instead of punishment, everything changes. You start working for the work itself, not for the applause. And ironically, that's when applause finally arrives, because the world respects results more than intentions. Fear plays a huge role. Fear convinces people that waiting is safer than trying. But waiting is the most dangerous strategy of all, because time doesn't negotiate. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes. Not because opportunity disappears, but because hesitation becomes a habit. And habits build identity. If you hesitate long enough, you become someone who hesitates. If you quit long enough, you become someone who quits. But the inverse is also true. If you practice discipline, you become disciplined. If you practice courage, you become courageous. Life shapes itself around the behaviors you repeat. One of the biggest lies people tell themselves is that things will get easier later. They won't. Life doesn't get easier. You get stronger. You learn how to manage pressure, how to navigate doubt, how to recover from failure, how to keep going when the world tries to slow you down. You adapt. And adaptation is the most valuable skill you can acquire. If you can adapt, you can handle chaos. If you can handle chaos, you become unstoppable. Look at failure differently. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of success. Every attempt that doesn't work is data. It teaches you what doesn't get you where you're trying to go. But most people waste failure. They take it personally instead of using it strategically. They think failure means stop, when it actually means revise. The faster you fail, the quicker you learn. The quicker you learn, the sooner you win. The problem is that most people never fail enough times to win. And what about comparison? Comparison is poison. When you compare, you steal energy from your own journey. It doesn't matter who started with more resources, more talent, or more luck. That's irrelevant. Life is not graded on fairness. It's graded on output. If someone has more than you, good. Let that inspire you. But never let someone else's progress make you doubt your own possibilities. Your path isn't supposed to look like theirs. Your timeline isn't supposed to match theirs. You are building something unique, and uniqueness takes time. There's also the concept of sacrifice. You can't have everything and expect to change nothing. Something always has to be traded. If you want comfort, you sacrifice growth. If you want growth, you sacrifice comfort. If you want praise, you sacrifice time. If you want time, you sacrifice praise. The question is not whether you will sacrifice, but what you choose to sacrifice for. Most people sacrifice their future for their present. Successful people do the opposite. They sacrifice their present for their future. People underestimate how powerful small actions are. Everyone wants to change their life overnight, but transformation happens in increments. One workout, one page, 1 hour, one conversation, one habit, one day of consistency repeated so many times that it becomes a lifestyle. The compounding effect turns ordinary effort into extraordinary results. But compounding only works for people who start. You must also understand seasons. There will be seasons of pushing, seasons of rest, seasons of confusion, seasons of clarity. Not every day feels heroic. Not every step feels progress. Sometimes you work for weeks and nothing moves. And that's where belief is tested. You must believe that effort planted eventually grows, even when the soil looks empty. Growth happens underground before it becomes visible. Success doesn't come to people who are always confident. It comes to people who are willing to take action while scared. Fear doesn't disappear before action. It disappears after. The person you become on the other side of fear is the person capable of living the life you want. But you have to cross that bridge yourself. No one can do it for you. The world respects results, but results come from process, and process comes from repetition. You become what you repeat. If you repeat laziness, you become lazy. If you repeat excuses, you become someone defined by excuses. If you repeat discipline, you become powerful. Your identity is a story you reinforce through action. Think about how many dreams died because someone wanted approval first. They waited for permission, validation, support, encouragement. But permission is a luxury. Most people never receive it. If you wait for approval, you will wait forever. The world only validates you after you validate yourself through consistent effort. Results speak a language the world always understands, regardless of who doubted you. People also quit too early. The moment things get uncomfortable, they retreat. But discomfort is not a sign that you're off the path. It's a sign you're finally on it. Comfort creates stagnation. Discomfort creates evolution. If you want to grow, you must be willing to endure temporary discomfort in exchange for permanent improvement. There's also patience. Patience without effort is procrastination. Effort without patience is burnout. The balance between the two is what creates sustainability. The goal is not just to grind, it's to grind long enough to win. Life rewards endurance, not enthusiasm. Anyone can be enthusiastic for a week. Few can be consistent for a year. Even fewer for a decade. And that's why so few live the life they dream about. Most people don't lack talent. They lack environment. Surrounding yourself with people who settle will make success feel unnecessary. Surrounding yourself with people who pursue excellence will make success feel inevitable. Environment multiplies mindset. If you can't change your environment, change your inputs. What you consume shapes what you believe. And what you believe shapes what you attempt. The moment you take responsibility for your life, everything shifts. Responsibility means owning your decisions, your habits, your reactions, your results. When you stop blaming external forces, family, society, luck, circumstances, you regain control. Control gives you power, and power lets you build. Victimhood feels comfortable, but it removes your ability to act. Responsibility is uncomfortable, but it restores your ability to change. People fear being misunderstood, but being misunderstood is a sign you're doing something different. Doing something different is the only path to outcomes that are different. If you want average results, do what everyone else does. If you want exceptional results, prepare to look wrong to average minds. Life is not as complicated as people make it. Every journey has 4 stages: desire, effort, doubt, and breakthrough. Everyone loves desire. It feels exciting. Everyone respects breakthrough. It looks glamorous. But most people avoid effort and flee during doubt. And without surviving doubt, breakthrough never arrives. Doubt is not a signal to stop. It's a signal you're close. There's a line between dreams and reality, and that line is crossed through execution. Execution is unromantic. It's repetitive. It's inconvenient. It's tiring. It's not aesthetic. But execution converts imagination into form. Ideas that stay in your head are fantasies. Ideas that enter the world become legacy. Most people die with full imaginations and empty lives. The goal is to reverse that. Empty your imagination through action and fill your life with results. Your greatest competition is not someone else. It's the version of you that refuses to grow. That version is always nearby. Tempts you to stay comfortable, to stay safe, to stay small. Every time you choose growth, you defeat that version temporarily. The goal is not to beat others. It's to beat the weaker version of yourself again and again until the gap between who you are and who you could be finally closes. There will be days where nothing feels like it's working. Days where the plan crumbles, where the vision blurs, where exhaustion hits. Those days matter the most. Anyone can move forward when life feels light. Champions move forward when life feels heavy. And champions are not born. They are built through days that feel impossible but still get completed. One day, the world will look at you and say you're lucky. They will not see the nights you questioned everything. They will not see the sacrifices you made silently. They will not see the rejections, the failures, the doubts. They will not see how long you waited for the results that finally arrived. They will only see the outcome. And outcomes make everything look easier than it was. But you will remember. You will remember the versions of you that kept going. The younger you who had no evidence but plenty of belief. The tired you who kept pushing. The lonely you who kept building. The disciplined you who did the work even when progress was invisible. You will remember because the struggle becomes part of your identity, and breakthrough becomes part of your character. Life becomes extraordinary when you stop asking for guarantees and start demanding more from yourself. When you stop hoping for easy paths and start embracing difficult ones. When you stop looking for signs and start becoming the sign. You don't need inspiration to act. Action creates inspiration. You don't need confidence to begin. Beginning builds confidence. You don't need permission to dream. Dreams are already yours. There is a future version of you waiting. Someone stronger, wiser, calmer, more competent, more resilient. That version of you is not created through wishes. It is created through pressure. You must voluntarily choose challenges that force you to grow. The future always belongs to those who are willing to be uncomfortable in the present. One day everything will click. The skills will align. The habits will compound. The discipline will feel natural. The results will appear. And you'll realize that nothing you did was wasted. Every failure mattered. Every sacrifice mattered. Every lonely moment mattered. Every day you showed up mattered. Progress is slow until suddenly it's fast. Never forget. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. You must choose your burden. All roads demand a price. But only one road gives you a life you're proud to live. The world may not owe you anything, but it will give you exactly what you work for. If you are willing to endure, to persist, to evolve, then life will submit. Life bends for the relentless. And when your story is told, people will not remember how long it took. They will only remember that you did it.